Good afternoon to everyone who's kindly joining us for this first Focus 24/7 webinar, where we're going to be inviting guests from the Workday ecosystem weekly and asking them a number of questions. In this webinar series, we have Christopher Healey. Good afternoon to you, Chris. How are you?
Well, hello, fine sir. How are you doing today?
I'm very, very well, thank you.
We got matching black shirts, I can see. We're synchronized.
Yeah.
Even opposing sides. I like that.
Yeah, you look very smart today, Chris.
Well,
Well done. So for all the attendees, the format of the webinar is going to be, in this particular webinar, we've got 4 particular topics that we're going to discuss. I'm going to ask Chris the topic that we're going to discuss, and then we're going to leave it open for Q&A. Now, this is the first one we've done, okay? So please forgive any technical difficulties, any human difficulties will be appreciated as well. So without further ado, Chris.
Well,
so I'll just introduce myself for those people who don't know, and then perhaps you can introduce yourself as well, Chris.
Go ahead.
So I'm Lloyd Gordon. I'm the founder and CEO of Focus Cloud. We're a specialist Workday recruitment organization operating in all continents across the world. Been in business for 5 years. A lot of people know us, of course. We operate in the contract and permanent markets. Basically, we're the world's leading recruitment brand for Workday. Chris, just a quick synopsis of yourself.
Yeah, been in the Workday ecosystem, well, for nearly 10 years now. Started in the States at OneSource Virtual. I've worked for a majority of clients ranging from aviation to retail to tire manufacturers, or implementations from thousands to 100,000 plus. And I've worked for many of the big 4 as well. And I currently provide solutions to clients that focus on any of their Workday challenges they need to overcome.
Good. How many projects have you been on now, Chris?
Oh, from end, I would say if you count, it's easier to sometimes say how many clients have I done project work for. Yeah. Over that in the Workday ecosystem, easily 50. End to end, it could be post-production implementations or phase X, phase 1, phase 2, whichever it may be. Just quite a variety, so just a multitude.
Who's your favorite recruitment company? No, don't answer.
Ah, fuck Cloud.
No, just joking. So we'll move on to the first topic. The first topic is obviously all around COVID-19 and how it's affected the Workday ecosystem. I mean, this one I can answer a little bit of this from a recruitment perspective, of course. So, how has COVID-19 affected Focus Cloud? Well, first of all, we had to put a fair amount of our employees on furlough through no fault of their own. Yeah. That was the first thing. Second thing, which I actually think it's been really good for us, is having all of our guys working from home. I put out.
Why is that good? Why is that good for you, Lloyd? Because you're quite a challenge. That you're quite a relationship person. So if you couldn't guess, then me and Lloyd go back, but. With the way he works with his clients, he's quite personable. So why is that a positive change to you?
I think having I put a post out on LinkedIn some time back, a few weeks ago, and I put I think it was Mark I mentioned. I picked on that day, and I said Mark had actually asked me before that could he work from home, and I literally laughed because it's just never been anything that I've ever considered. And when this thing come along and we had no choice but to let everyone work from home. Yeah. The first thing I start doing is pulling out my hair.
That's the reason. Yeah.
For everyone attending, I want to make this fun for everyone attending as well. Yeah, I start pulling out my hair, and I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, this is the worst thing that could possibly have happened to me personally, because I then can't see everyone in the office. Yeah. I don't have that day-to-day interaction. But I think this is going to be the making of us. Okay. I think I think the positives of allowing people potentially to work from home in the future as well. It would allow us to to capture people that we perhaps wouldn't have captured. We have 2 offices in the UK. We have one in Gatwick Airport and one in London. What about all those really strong recruiters up north? What about people that don't want to come down to London every single day,
Yeah.
or come to lovely Gatwick and work? Before we would never have even considered hiring those people.
Yeah.
So
do you think it's opened up candidates and a wider kind of spread in regards to the skill sets you can hire from, because you're not geographically limiting?
Absolutely.
I like that. Yeah.
It's actually been positive for us. The negative side, I guess, would be the need to furlough some of our staff.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them juniors. It's really tough. No one wants to do that. It was probably the most toughest conversation I've ever had with any of my staff. That one. Didn't want to do it, but I had to. I had no choice. Yeah. And I think a lot of businesses had no choice either.
Yeah, it's a difficult decision to make.
I think that perhaps there has been, whilst companies get used to what's happening in the market, there's been a lot less organizations hiring, certainly the consultancies, where perhaps they had a lot of the consultancies that we deal with. We've placed a lot of people in consultancies, as you know, and I think for the first time, probably in 4.5 years, a lot of those consultancies, certainly in the first few weeks anyway, were coming back to us and saying they don't have any vacancies, because where they had perhaps more junior people that were on the bench, they didn't want to. Maybe they didn't see the need to invest in those more senior people to bring on those juniors. They would just use what they've got. No one knew what was going to happen, did they?
Of course. Yeah.
Even today. How about yourself?
To be honest, it hasn't. I guess the kind of benefit of being a Workday remote consultant is that I kind of live in this space anyway. Yeah. From a personal change, if I'm honest, it's been quite nice because I've been able to have a lot more structure. So Workday is usually about, we find most of the time it's bringing structure to clients, bringing strategy with an underpinning structure to helping people understand next steps or the journey they're going on. But it's nice to be able to get some extra time in the morning to exercise. I think that the human interaction side is definitely a bit of a change. It's trying to make sure that we're having the same kind of interpersonal skills through this camera. At the end of the day, it's not typically how I like to work, but in regards to efficiency, I've quite enjoyed it. I was trying to find the silver lining in it.
Do you think it's possible to have a meeting? I mean, I think back to some of our morning meetings and the meetings I've had with staff at Focus, and do you think it's possible to have a Zoom call or a video call as poignant as a face-to-face?
You know what? I sometimes think there's different levels. Sometimes I think you actually get a bit more insider information to the person, right? I mean, if you're going into a mutual location to meet at a coffee shop, right?
Yeah.
All you're going to learn about them is based upon what they put on. So do I wear a tie every day? Heck no, I wear tank tops and hoodies most of my life, right? But this is what I'm presenting. Plus, you see a little bit like I like music. You get to know something more about me beyond what is your sometimes your work appearance, right?
Yeah.
And you'll be able to ask more, whether it's a kid's photo, but also you're getting to understand sometimes some of the struggles people have. I mean, sometimes I'm like, you have kids? I didn't know. There's 3 children there. They are yours, right? Having those kind of conversations that sometimes when you're caught up having design or talking about solutions or ways to solve problems, you kind of miss that personal link. But sometimes having a video helps you get a personal link to it too. So I see it as, I don't think it can be the same because it's 2 different situations, but I definitely think you can find advantages and benefits to each. So maybe it's about having in the future a bit more of a variety to your working style, right? It's not just being I'm always a meeting people in person, or always doing remote. It's seeing what works best for you, and we're getting a chance to find that out, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So I'm going to open this topic up. So again, the topic is the impact of COVID-19 on the Workday ecosystem. I'm just going to open this up to the audience, and if you can type your questions in the Q&A bar at the bottom of the screen. I've got a few coming through now, and we'll just pick them randomly. This one's obviously to me. I'm going to assume this is for me anyway.
Yeah, I just manage myself. Got out my dog.
How do you manage your staff when they're all working remotely when you've traditionally worked in an office? With much difficulty, if I'm honest, because recruitment is one of those things where you need to you kind of need to see what people are doing, because it's based on, dare I say, it's based a lot on ratios. So some of the applications that we have as business have been priceless during this. So we can see when someone's on a call, things like that. When you send a CV out, when you put a contact on, it's all live. We've got live systems right around the office, which are all cloud-based as well, which have been absolutely priceless in this. Without those systems, you just wouldn't be able to. You just wouldn't be able to manage. It would be really, really tough. Yeah.
But I mean, do you feel like, because I mean, it's going to take a certain degree, because like I'll be honest, some mornings I do wake up and put a suit on sitting in my home office, because that's when I need to get up that day to feel like it's normal, sometimes. But when you're interacting with your staff now at a different level, do you feel that you've had to give them more trust, and that you've seen that reciprocated back? Because you're having to trust them, not just through the metrics that support that, whether it's call logs, whichever it may be, right? So you can see activity, but at the same time, you as an individual, or as how your management style is much more hands-on, and to not see that and only see the metrics, do you find that you're getting more trust back from your employees because you're giving them more flexibility to be trusted in their job?
I think so.
Not be there.
I think so. I mean, we've been through many weeks of this now. What are we, week 7, I think, aren't we? Is it week 7?
I honestly can't remember.
It's week 7. So at first we rolled into business as usual, if you can call it business as usual, and the same daily metrics that we had initially are not the same daily metrics that we're working to now. So, but what I've seen, and it's not so much a trust thing, and I think, for those people that are on the call from customers as well, will have the same issues as me, whether I'm running a recruitment company, or whether you're running a huge business. It's not so much the trust thing, because in a way, you know that people have to deliver on their jobs, whatever that may be.
Of course, yeah.
And you do trust them to do whatever they need to do.
Yeah.
But there are, I think, there's a little bit of minimum expectations, what you would expect as a minimum of those people.
Okay, so like the kind of like setting healthy work boundaries. Like, I need you to make sure that you're logged in by 9 at least, or something. Is that what you're saying?
No, I wouldn't even say that. Not for me. I don't mind when someone logs in.
Okay. So you are giving that flexibility.
Yeah. So we got lots of Q&A coming through now. So I just want to make sure, from an applications point of view, I've got the time to answer all of your questions. We've got lots of questions here, actually. So let me just. I've got 3 screens. For those who didn't see my my thing on LinkedIn. Yeah. So I'm gonna. There was a question answered. Why do you have so many screens? Well, this is the reason why. I've got here and I've got here as well. So I'm just going to take it over.
It's got Netflix on that one as well. You're watching a movie at the same time.
No Netflix for me.
Okay, not today. Not today.
So I'm hoping that answers the question. What price? Pass that one over to you.
Okay. Wow. I'll be honest. I mean, I'll talk from a personal perspective first. Honestly, I think at times that Workday projects, especially if you're in the implementation and it's not post-production, there's a lot of deadlines, a lot of strict milestones that need to be adhered to, because they cause chain reactions or downstream effect of projects if they're not delivered, right? So we've got at times that I've personally, I'd say worked beyond what my body says I should be working, whether it's hours or whether it's I haven't eaten for 12 hours. I've been looking at spreadsheets all day. And then you go and get delivery food, right? Well, if I'm honest,
Is that every day, Chris?
It was at one point,
or is it every hour?
Yeah, I mean, when you set me in France for that project, it sure was that. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that being able to, it's the benefit is that it really tests an individual to say, well, okay, well, you're not going to get delivery food yet. You've got food you can make in your house. You've got work to do, but now I'm building a strict regime because I have a lot more flexibility because I don't have to leave the house. And that benefit to me is my productivity, my personal well-being. We even lost weight during lockdown. So I'm seeing that as a personal level feed through into my working life. I'm having more fun with it. Some conference calls, I'll find that in the past, if I went to do a design session, we would go turn up, we'd go through the design, the business processes, all the items, and then we'd leave. I did a design session 2 days ago, and literally I had everyone holding their dogs, like Simba from The Lion King, holding that up, just be like, this is our animal, this is who I am. We had one person with a monitor lizard, and I'm like, that would eat my dog, but I would have never known that. As silly as that is.
Yeah.
but then that's like, wow, okay, you're into reptiles. That's quirky.
You'd never know that. And as much as you're building a relationship with someone, perhaps even face to face.
Yeah.
Because when you're doing a meeting face to face with someone, there's an agenda, isn't there?
Mm-hmm.
And I've found that, I've certainly found that the video calls that I've had during this period, I've been able to build perhaps even deeper relationships with people.
Okay, that's cool.
And that's because I like to build very deep relationships.
Absolutely,
with candidates and clients all over the place, right? So it shouldn't be. It's not a restriction, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Because they're bringing. It's not. You're not just typically you have a work meeting. You're walking into a working kind of bubble, right?
Yeah.
But when you're doing video conferencing, you're actually in my world. Like after this closes, I still live here. But if we met before, otherwise, you wouldn't know where I live or circumstances you're in or kind of background. So you're able to ask more and learn more. You say.
I'm just gonna try and jump onto a couple of these Q&A before we go on to topic 2. Yeah. So Mr. Trillo here says, Workday projects work on budgeted hours, and these hours are known from a lot of historical projects. How is remote working affected in these hours?
That's a darn good question. I'll be honest. I would say I'll talk from my personal experience. I work so much faster in my home office, okay? If I am having to go to a client site and do design sessions, sometimes you're being pulled left, right, and center into other questions because you have that knowledge, right? It may be beyond your project scope, but that can be kind of solved, and you can also get a lot more decisions made when you're there. So the benefit is you're there, you can drive decisions. But in regards to, I'd say, the system side, I would hope that the people's efficiency is increasing. But also saying that if they work if they don't make a change, like having an extra screen, for example, if you work in an office, you have your laptop that's given to you, have an extra screen, right? Because that's what gives you the office. But if you don't replicate that at home and have a comfortable working style, some people I am noticing are slowing down, but maybe it's because they've got kids in the background. I would say it's kind of offsetting some of the people that are able to work faster because there's benefits to them. So then some individuals are impacted because of family constraints, school being out and so on. Yeah. It's hard to get yourself through a giant EIB and do validation when you've got kids screaming next to you. So I would imagine that you would have a decrease there, but
it gives you that flexibility to do that when the kids are gone to sleep. Whereas if you were in the office, you wouldn't have that flexibility.
But then at the same time, but then if they have the kids during the day and they've had kids all day, and then they're working, let's be honest with you, that's going to be tiring. And only so for so long can you take care of the kids as a full-time job and do Workday as a full-time job, right? Yeah. So I would say that it's important that people are kind of working together and helping each other more at this time to make sure they can deliver and being open about communicating that to say, I'm struggling to adhere to these hours and this budget because of the constraints and the impact of what I'm dealing with.
Yeah. I think it's just about being open, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think you probably open up a big can of worms here, but I know there's a lot of people being affected in all industries whilst they've been working at home, and the mental aspect of working at home. So you've got the physical aspect, because perhaps if you're working at home, you're maybe eating a little bit more, or perhaps you're not. Perhaps you're working on your fitness a bit more, but the mental impact on people has been huge. It really has. But that's definitely for another webinar. That's definitely
agreed,
because that could be. And we're going to do. We're going to do
crazy there.
We're going to do one more question. Okay. So, what are your thoughts on the impact of coronavirus over the next 6, 12, and the dynamic businesses will need to adopt in their workday recruitment when traditionally they prefer on-site consultants? Yeah, you got that one.
Resources. Yeah, basically, I personally, I find that clients are recognizing they have to adapt. So I'll be honest, all the projects I am on, nothing has stopped because of this. So everyone's just working. It's definitely harder to achieve certain things like design decisions. Like sometimes I literally will tap on the camera during a call and say, are people still there? I don't see video. There's no interaction. That makes it challenging. But I think you have to kind of take charge as a consultant to say, well, now this is whether I'm going to stand in front of clients at their office or whether I'm going to sit behind a camera. This is my stage. This is my realm. This is where I have to perform at my best. So try and harbor an environment of that when you're interviewing for jobs maybe, or having conversations, and just making sure that they are secure on who you are in interaction. And my advice always is, don't shy away from video calls. Otherwise, you have a mobile phone. Pick up the phone, right? In my mind, if you've got a video camera, sometimes I know if I don't want to have the camera, it's because I'm in my pajamas. And then maybe I'm probably not being as productive as I could be. So I kind of tell myself now every day, I put my camera on, I interact with my clients, I ask them to do the same, just to make sure that we are trying to maintain some kind of normality, because for the next 6, 12 months, I'm seeing projects aren't moving as quickly in regards to signing. That's definitely slowed down because there's uncertainty, global uncertainty. But in regards to things that are taking place and moving forward, I'm not seeing anything stop them. The momentum's going, but I think that there will be challenges in the next 6 to 12 months for contractors, probably because a lot of budgets are being frozen, right? And to get new faces, whether it's over a camera or in person, it still comes down to people are re-diversifying their assets to meet the needs of 6 to 12 months from now, right?
Yeah, it's a good answer there, Chris.
Thank you, sir.
We're gonna move on to topic 2 now.
So
this was a question posed by one of the audience before this.
Okay.
Are there any particular parts of a business that would benefit during this time? So, in other words, a business that perhaps has gone through a Workday implementation that maybe didn't back in February didn't go live with a particular module, and you've done most of these modules, right?
I've interacted with them one way, shape, or form.
So is there a particular module that a business would see huge benefit during this time?
There's many. I mean, I would say from an engagement perspective, I would, and of course, learning is, kind of my thing too. Is what I enjoy the most about helping see people not know something to then knowing something. Learning is a high touch part of the Workday HCM solution. I mean, how often do you change your address? How often do you may clock in every day? You may not clock in because you're a salary employee, but when you have when you're kind of sitting there bored and you've got extra things to do, you might jump in and say, "Oh, what's that mandatory training I can get done?" So there's a lot of interaction there and cleaning up that catalog. It's a high touch area. And I know this is a great time to gain some skills, right?
Yeah.
And also think about, because for example, you may be in a scenario where your job may be spreadsheets, right? Well, I mean, 10 years from now, you may even be automated as a job, but in the immediate need is, I mean, what else can you do beyond that to build your skill set? And as an organization to provide that to their staff is huge, right? I would say within learning, one of the key areas I would hope for is peer-to-peer learning. So getting the knowledge out of someone's head into the business so it can be learned, digested, I think is huge. Because if you have furloughed staff, or if you have staff that are potentially going to be let go, sadly, because of a reorganization that needs to take place, or maybe you're an aviation industry and you have zero contract hours that are changing over to basically have people sign on new contracts. That's big changes. But that knowledge that they had in their mind before this happened hasn't gone, but they may be gone as an employee to you. So you've lost that knowledge with them if you don't have it in a way to share it throughout the organization. So I see it's like a sad goodbye, right? It's like, we want the knowledge from you, but sadly you're still gonna have to go. But you know what? At least you can go out on a bang, and at least you can make sure that that knowledge that you have is being paid forward and useful, right? And it helps you hone your art when you're able to train people and build a learning material or course program, whatever it may be, that others can digest and actually walk away and learn something new from.
Yeah.
I mean, and it keeps you busy, right?
So I'll go into how we've dealt with that particular topic as well.
Yeah.
But I'm going to open this up to Q&A as well at the same time. We'll try and get through as many of these questions as we can on this one because we missed out a lot. My apologies to everyone.
I've just seen them. Like, whoa.
They've all come.
Thank you, people. We appreciate you.
We need more time.
Exactly. Okay.
So I think as a recruitment business focusing on the Workday market, we're always trying to make our consultants better. Our industry is slightly different, right? We can hone our skills on client interaction, candidate interaction, all the different things that make up a good recruiter. And what we've tried to do during this period is to make sure that we're offering that to certainly the furloughed guys and also the unfurloughed guys. It's been interesting the way that's been brought on board in the company. I think I was actually talking to someone else today, and this is a guy that's not only involved in recruitment but involved in a lot of markets. And what the feedback that he got was, quite a lot of the furloughed guys, he found in certain organisations to get that interaction with them whilst they're on furlough. So you can obviously train.
So maintaining engagement, essentially. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, maintain engagement, and you can still train when you're on furlough. So it's been really tough because it must be tough mentally for those guys as well.
Yeah, because if they're going to be majority also potentially junior staff, they're trying to build their career. Now they're just being told, oh, here's some time to wait. It's about also having that resilience, and that takes through kind of like doing it enough to know that you can keep learning, keep continuing. And actually the easiest thing is to just pig out, Netflix it for the day because I'm being paid my salary. But it really challenges the staff, and if you can engage with them, you might be able to get them excited about actually learning stuff, right? Whether it's LinkedIn learning, whether it's follow a course or learn something about one of your clients, read encyclopedias, silly things that can actually strengthen their skill set. But how do you get them to engage in that? You can't make someone want to learn and not spend their day watching Netflix. How do you get them engaged if they're on furlough? You're not paying them. They're being paid by the government, but how do you engage with them with your staff right now? How are you doing it?
Is that a question?
Yeah, I'm asking you. I'm sorry. I know there's a lot of questions here, but I'm asking you. How are you engaging with these people?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I think I'm going to be totally open and honest about this question. I think it's down to them. I think an organization can only give you the tools, that here are the tools, here are the methods that you need to learn yourself in your own time, and it's your choice whether you do that or not.
That's fair.
If you don't do that, I think it does show a little bit. It does show a little bit of the makeup of the person, in my opinion, because you should always want to learn. Like you should. No one is the finished article.
But I agree. But I would agree with that. But at the same time, I would challenge you as a CEO. It's your job to motivate if you can, and get your people excited about learning. Obviously, you can't lead a horse to water and make them drink it.
Yeah.
But as the leader of the business, you can tell them where the water is and how to drink it if they need to. But it's two-way, because you don't know about the circumstances of their home. They could be in a studio flat, and like you could see their picture here. There's a toilet there. You don't know, right?
Yeah.
So it's about being being kinder to each other and saying, we may struggle at times, but sometimes just a check-in call to motivate them. What are you learning today? Oh, I'm going to think about this now. Just checking in sometimes. Yeah.
Good point.
Cool.
Any questions from anyone on this particular topic before we move on? Three, 2, 1, go.
Okay. Final countdown.
Topic 3. So, what are the long-term effects and permanent changes that have had to be made, or will have to be made, in the Workday ecosystem? Do you think? I think we've touched on some of this already.
Yeah,
it's a really good question. I want to open that up to Q&A now as well. So whilst we're discussing,
I would say the one painful truth that we have to all kind of recognize is that Workday is the human capital management part. Is about human capital management, right? And there's a lot of human capital changes that are going to take place because it's typically your largest cost of the business, right?
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a lot of reorganizations for companies, recognizing how they're going to sadly terminate staff. At the same time, recognizing how they're going to have to put new absence types in, recognizing that the business tenant that they have built for the organization is going to be changing again potentially in 6 months, because they may lose 15% of their staff. You may have to look at your job catalog and how you harmonize that in other areas, because now people are taking on maybe somebody else's additional job, right? Because I'll be honest, since this has happened, I felt like I'm working twice as much. We were talking about this the other day, weren't we? Twice as much, right? And that's going to be what you're going to see from businesses being asked in the future, because they're going to still need to operate, but they're going to have to make cuts. I mean, if it's like aviation industry, potentially all these people are going to go from having a contract of security to then going to like a supermarket version of a 0 hours contract. I mean, how is that peace of mind, right? And that's going to be how many contract changes in the system, right? How are you going to manage that in-house? So I think there's going to be a lot of adjustments to systems in this time because of a lot of volatility between people's jobs, working styles, and also saving because they're making budget cuts to keep the lights on, right?
Yeah. I think budgets definitely going to be a consideration moving forward. What about the working from home piece? Because we discussed this a little bit, didn't we, on one of the other topics? I certainly would never have considered people working from home.
Yeah, fair.
I just wouldn't.
Whereas I'm all for it.
Yeah. Like maybe I would have said yes, okay, 1 day a week, but that would be a real push. Fair. Now, I'm thinking, is it that bad? It's not that bad. As long as you've got.
Are you thinking to the level where you're thinking, do I need this office anymore? Is my question.
I knew someone was going to say that. I just didn't expect it to be you.
Sorry, under the bus.
Yeah, I am. Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. And that's quite a big. I mean, me and Lloyd have worked together for a long time, and I know Lloyd's working style, and that's quite a big statement. for all that know him that well, that for him to say he's got a
Offices.
gym next to him in front of him, that's a great space.
Yeah. So for those people who've never been in our Gatwick office, which is actually where I am now, I didn't fancy bald cats jumping all over me whilst I was on this webinar. So I thought,
oh, your dog's going crazy. Yeah.
but I've got a gym in my office, and there was various reasons why I put a gym in my office. I just want the flexibility of being able to work out whenever I feel like it. And I did tell Ryan. Ryan said to me, "It's such a bad idea. You won't use it." Well, I knew a year ago that there was going to be times. No, I didn't. It's priceless. It's
premonition.
It's been absolutely priceless during this period because none of the gyms are open, and we don't necessarily have the space in our garden to put loads of gym equipment. So actually, I've got it in my office, and I've ordered more stuff. So it's keeping me fit, which is keeping my mental health on point as well.
But then that's at the same time, that's not working from home, is it? So, I mean, imagine, say, if you got rid of all the offices you have, right? And then turned everything which you could do into remote offices, right? You just got telephone numbers and such. But
I think the question you asked, am I thinking about whether we need the offices? Right. So the honest truth is, yes, I am. But I think we do need a base, wherever that base may be. Yeah. We do need a base for people to come and to physically meet face to face and to collaborate with their colleagues. But before, I was thinking to myself, okay, we've got Gatwick, we've got London. Yeah. Perhaps we might have one in Manchester at some point. Perhaps we might have one in blah 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 at some point. Yeah. To capture those recruiters that you can't expect to travel 4 or 5 hours to work every day. I don't know what the problem is, but
they don't drive the cars that you drive.
You can't. You can't. We're going to move on to some questions.
Yes.
So we're going to go for Mike here. So do you think there will be do you think there will be a skills shortage in the marketplace once business returns to normal? And should companies be aware of this and forward plan? Mike, is that to me or to Chris? That sounds like a recruitment question, actually.
It does, but I will say one thing. I think that in regards to financials, you already know that there's no one that really,
there already is.
Yeah, but then add that if things start kicking off again. Yeah, I believe that's possible. Very, very possible, especially in certain key niche areas like cloud platform, Prism, Adaptive Insights. And then, of course, financials. So I would say yes from my side.
Yeah, I think from a recruitment point of view. Sorry, there's one that I'm being told to answer here as well. So I'll come on to that in a minute. I think from a recruitment point of view, businesses need to think about what we are going to do when we come out of this. Right, that the world is not going to end, even if this COVID-19 stays around, and we have to have certain things that we do when we're going out around people and things like that. The world is not going to end. Everything will carry on. So therefore, all of the projects that perhaps have been paused or postponed or whatever it may be, they're going to start again. And when they start again, if you don't start thinking and planning around what you're going to need to be able to resource those projects, there will be a skill shortage. Yeah. Without doubt, because there are companies that are already thinking about how they're going to plan for when we do come out of this. Companies are hiring now. So, we as an organization have made several placements during this period. And that's the companies that are hiring now for what's going to happen in the future. We are looking at hiring now for what's going to happen in the future as well. We expect a huge curve to happen. Not only in the Workday market, but in all of the markets. Yeah. Most of the markets, most of the industries are suppressed at the moment, but we will come out of it. And I think those companies that forward think are going to be in really, really good shape, skills wise. So let me come on to this question I'm being told to answer here. Okay. What do you feel good looks like for the Workday market post COVID-19 for customers who are established and for those customers
Mm.
who have embarked on the first steps of their Workday journey pre-crisis?
I mean, I would definitely say you're going to
It's a
see.
great question.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I would say this is, you're kind of stress testing, right? Because let's think about it. When you're home, you're now checking out all these systems now because you have the downtime, or maybe you just want a bit of distraction from what you've been staring at. But having the environment that where you can harmonize your processes, or they can find ways to improve from new enhancements. They can see how the user interface or experience or UX is actually being impacted, because people are now checking their talent cards. People are checking their professional profiles and such, where you're now doing a bit more upkeep where people may be testing these things, and so you may have more tickets increase. So having a strong support model, whether it's AMS, whether it's contractors, whether it's true in-house hires. I mean, I think that the right model to have is a support team to support the influx of usage that's going to take place. And that's going to be, again, more to this ever-changing world of less interaction face-to-face, which I think that we'll see stay for quite a while.
Yeah. I've just seen a really, really good question here. And I'm glad this particular person is.
Okay.
I know this person. Thank you for the message the other day, by the way. So he asks, how do you see partners changing their travel and in-office requirements for Workday consultants? I believe this time frame will allow partners to minimize travel, which will decrease costs and allow consultants to stay at home more. In addition, the downstream impact will be Workday implementations will cost less. What do you think? Can I answer this?
Yeah, for sure.
And I know you'll have some bits on this as well. It's a great question, by the way, Mike. Look, it's easier for us as a recruitment organization that focuses on Workday to place a consultant from either an end user or a partner. It's easier for us to sell a job to that person where we say it's all based from home. The amount of recruitment processes that fall down when you've gone through the interview process and perhaps someone in the organization is interviewing them and says, yeah, but it's 70%, or it's 80% travel. We don't do 70% or it's 80% or 80% travel, but it will be in your contract. And the way that candidates feel about that is that if it's in my contract, then you can hold me to it. Okay. So I believe that companies will have to relax that, because they've been through this period just like we have. I'm not saying that I would say yes, everyone can work from home 5 days a week. I won't say that, but I will say that you can be flexible. You come into the office when you want, as long as you come in X amount of times in a week. I believe that Workday consulting partners will have to relax that, because you already lose people through too much travel. Arguably the one thing that makes a Workday consultant leave a partner is probably travel. It probably is. It's not. Yeah, okay. There is money. Money comes to it.
Yeah, because like 80% is the time to pack your bags, to be there, to be away from family. Like 80%, what is that? Monday through Thursday. Well, then how long have you been having client dinners because they want to take out and have socials? Like when you're doing 80% travel, it does get tiring. Like I don't think it's not something that I would say would make things cheaper, but I would find at the same time that hopefully people are recognizing the lack of necessity for having that at especially key points in the project, which we've been trying to sell for the longest time, right?
I think part of this question also was, will it decrease costs in consultants? The answer to that, I would say, is no, because Workday will still be a very niche area to find people. It will always be that, and on the uplift when everyone restarts their projects and organizations sign off on those projects, then you're going to get get a lack of skills. When you get a lack of skills on the market, people put up their expectations, and ultimately, we don't want this. but ultimately companies have to pay it. They are forced to pay it because they need that particular skill in the marketplace.
Yeah.
And that ultimately gets passed on to the customer, no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to decrease costs. I think it's going to change how consulting partners hire.
But I mean, but if you're thinking at it from a implementation partner perspective, a client pursuing that, when you have your fixed price or time materials, there's always that buffer or retainer essentially for travel, depending upon the firm you're going with, higher rates or lower rates, right? I would say we would hope that people would be pushing the conversation that, you know what, design sessions, I want to be there. I don't really care for traveling with work much anymore. I've done it so much. I've got 1,000,000 miles, and only miles I want more now to travel are to explore the world. To do that for work is tiring, especially when you've got to deliver a lot of goods at the same time and meet a lot of milestones. So we should try and welcome the opportunity to say, well, these are points where they can be more efficient from working from home. So maybe we can look at decreasing our travel costs. But at the same time, you may also find that some people have been sick and tired of staying at home, that they're going to go, I'll happily do 100% travel. Get me out of here.
Yeah, we might have a load of candidates that come to the market and say, I work for a company where they allow me to work from home. I want to travel. You have to place me in a company that allows.
Set me free, please.
It's got to be 90% travel. It's got to be 90%. I'm not willing to take less, but I doubt it. I think
exactly.
I just don't think. I think it will change, but I think it's going to have to change. Those companies that had that as part of their process, they want people who are happy to travel. They're just not going to be able to do that. You're just not going to be able to.
I would be surprised to see some of the partners change their approach. And most of the partners, because there's quite a variety, some of them are already all about that. Some are, you sign up and they say, no, that's part of the terms of the contract. I would see a bit of a struggle for the big partners to then suddenly go, now let's change our processes, decrease the costs for our clients, the consultancies, right? At the end of the day, if they can bill it and they can have less travel, do I think they'll take it off? I mean, if someone challenges it, I'd hope the client would challenge that cost and say, well, now that we may have been traveling for 6 months of this 9-month project, how about we decrease that from 20% retainer to a 6% retainer for design sessions, customer confirmation sessions, and so on. Yeah.
Okay, so I hope that that answers questions. By the way, for everyone that didn't get any questions that they've answered during this webinar, we are happy to take this offline. Please, please feel free to email us directly, and we'll answer those, each individual one. So we're going to move on to topic 4. Okay. So this has come from the attendees as well. What opportunities do you think that's come out of all of this?
Yeah, that's an interest. So I'd hate to say it. I would say HCM consultants have a lot of opportunity potential. Whether I think they're able to capitalize on it yet, I mean, where a lot of organizations are of course trying to keep their doors open. But if you have to lay off, let's say sell off a company, or if you have to reduce your workforce, you could be using your reporting or analytics to give you a guidance to do that. How a way to kind of harmonize your job catalog to maybe squeeze more responsibilities out of each worker. Or I would say the biggest opportunity is, if you're a client, are you utilizing full self-service capabilities, right? I mean, if I'm an employee, what would I do in the past? Don't change my address. Well, here's my change of address, done, right? Thanks. I've been saving the paper.
Is that how you'd actually do it, by the way? Have you ever seen it done that way?
We changed my address. I don't know what's going on. No, but obviously, point is that now, if you have self-service, you don't want to create a ticket, start going through a service now, so much to say. So that's an extra step. Well, how about empowering your organization to be more self-sufficient? Manager self-service, employee self-service, candidate self-service. There's a lot of areas that you can focus on to see about, while this business is changing. As they say, sometimes if you want to change your wheel, maybe it would be a good idea to change your alloys at the same time, right? Do one job that solves a bigger issue rather than 2 separate jobs that mean you're going to pay to get tires off again, right? So I think there's definitely an opportunity to be to be found in this. That's why where I look at it, whether it's getting involved in reorganizations, changing roles, getting new contracts, taking new functionality, employee self-service, building relationships. Like that's, I think sometimes as a consultant, I'm too stuck in delivering the project. I'm too stuck in trying to guide the client. And now we might have a bit more breathing room to say, whoa, maybe we should look at fixing this at the same time while we have capacity, right?
Yeah.
So I think there is a lot of opportunities to come from this.
What
But
about let me pose you a question here.
Okay,
What
away.
about seeing where you was going wrong? You know, this time is it's given me a lot of breathing space. You know, don't have to stick to the normal office hours, 8 till 6. I mean, that's our general office hours. But having that time to step back and perhaps look at what you've built, whether you're proud of that or you're not proud of that doesn't really matter. But perhaps it gives you that opportunity to say, where could I have done this better? Do you know what I mean? I've done this.
I do.
I've done that a lot in the last few weeks.
I'll be honest.
Where could I have done this better?
So I mean, is it because? Do you think it's because you've got more headspace that you've got the freedom to think about that? I mean, personally, I've done, for as silly as it sounds, I was wanting to do a system that's a backup of a backup of a backup of a backup. So no matter what, I've got a backup. Okay, I've been wanting to do that for 3 years because I had a backup of a backup, but I wanted to have a fully secure area. Well, I was like, actually, now is the time to do it. Right? Now I'm so dependent upon doing that. It's put some urgency into doing it. Not because I was actually going to go, oh, I'm excited to do this. It was more that now I'm so dependent upon this that I have to make sure I have a backup of a backup of a backup of a backup, because then I know I've got a fail safe. This is safe. This computer's safe. This is safe. So is there anything that you'd say is brought to your attention because of day-to-day necessities now changed for you?
I'm not sure I understand your question.
Like,
if I'm honest.
Is there any? So when you said that there's things to improve in your business, right? You're noticing these things.
No, I didn't necessarily say there was things to improve in my business. I would say that it's given me that time to step back and go, okay, this is what we've created over the last 4.5 years, which I'm really proud of. I'm really proud of every single person who works here who's had, an impact into our success. I'm really proud of that. But actually, you can't get away from the fact that perhaps you could have done it better. And if you'd have done this or whatever, and there may have been things in the past. I'm a firm believer a business should be rigid, right? So if your business is falling down because a virus is happening, then you haven't made your business rigid. So you have you almost have to be ready for all eventualities. Not that anyone could have been ready for all this eventuality. Who saw this coming? No one saw this coming. I didn't. I remember when I first heard about this thing, and our chairman Walid, actually, he came back from China. If he's on the call, he's going to laugh. He came back and he said he'd obviously been exposed to this thing a lot earlier than anyone in the UK, and he was like, "This thing's going to be really bad. And this is what we need to do." And I'll be honest, I was sitting there thinking, I did. I'll be honest, I totally brushed it off. He said, all of the airports are going to close. This is going to happen. I was like, nah, they ain't got to close airports. They can't close airports. How can you close an airport? Like, shopping centers are going to be closed. No, you can't do that. That's like, no one saw it. And I think the applications and the infrastructure, there was a question on applications and infrastructure. The applications and the infrastructure of this particular business allowed us to consume this pandemic. It hasn't affected us that much. Yes, okay, apart from the market conditions.
Yes.
But actually we were pandemic ready without being pandemic ready. And I wonder how many businesses were pandemic ready. There's a question. There's a question here from one of the attendees, and this is Oh, this is a big one.
Okay, fire away. Which one?
It's based on an acquisition that's just been made.
Oh, we like an
Yeah,
acquisition. Okay,
we know where this
we
one's
know
going.
which one
We
we're
know
talking
this one
about.
is going.
Yeah.
So, what are your
Where is it?
thoughts on Cognizant's acquisition of Collaborative?
Wow, how much time do we have? I would say I would say in regards to this is a hard one because I'm having to make sure I'm pretty PC in regards to what I say at the same time, because Collaborative Solutions, fantastic company. I've not done a lot of work myself with Cognizant, but I know what I hear, and I feel the strength of the Collaborative brand is really quite resilient, and it has a strong name to it. The implementations have lots of success, and they have remote working style. Consultants are happy. You know, I think it's just going to be what continues in the ecosystem, and that is acquisition after acquisition. We continue to see this, right? You know, and
See, I've done a bit of business with Cognizant in the past.
okay, tell me your thoughts.
So from years ago, and we've actually done some business with them as well.
Okay.
And I'll say this, I'm not going to comment whether I think it's a good thing or a bad thing, because it's not really any of my business, to be honest. But I think that I'm just going to go back on what I've said there. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a good thing. I think that it's a good thing as long as they keep what Collaborative have made.
Yeah,
which is fantastic. Yeah. So fantastic. Collaborative is a fantastic brand. You very, very rarely speak to anyone that is really wildly unhappy there, and not many people come out. They pay well on things. As long as Cognizant don't try and, as long as they don't try and ruin that and dilute that, I think it's a good thing, because Cognizant they're a powerhouse. However you want to look at them, they are a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And it could be very, very good for Collaborative. Think of all those clients that aren't yet Workday.
I mean, Collaborative also offer cornerstone demand, change management, transformation. So I think there's a lot of opportunities for that. I would hope it make more opportunities for us, in the ecosystem, right? Opening up other markets that Cognizant have. But I think with any acquisition, it's all about what's going to just be wait and see what happens, right? Is the culture going to change?
There's always fallout with acquisitions. It's just the way of the world. But I think it's actually a good thing. I think they're a good company. I think Collaborative are an excellent company. I don't think there's anything to worry about. Perhaps there will be some changes that the Collaborative folks don't like, and then they have to make a decision whether they want to stay there or whether they want to go, right?
Yeah.
But unfortunately, Chris, we've reached that time.
Conclusion time.
Yeah.
Okay.
We've run out. We've run out of time. Right on the bell, actually. So I just want to thank everyone who chose to attend. Thank you so much. We'll be doing this every week, where we'll pick a guest speaker from the Workday ecosystem. Next week, we have one of the best integration architects in the market on the show. I'm not going to mention his name yet. You will get the invitation, and we're going to be discussing everything integrations, which will be a really interesting one.
I want to watch this just to see your brain hurt, Lloyd.
Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to it, actually. Really looking forward to it.
That'll be good.
So yeah, thank you very much, and I'll
thanks all for joining.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Chris.
My pleasure, dude. I can ask you one thing then. We've got 1 minute left. Yep. What would you say is your favorite thing about all that's happened? What has been the best thing for Lloyd George Gordon?
What's been the best thing? I think opening my own mind. Opening my own mind. I'm not always. I don't think I'm. There's many at Focus who will say.
To conclude that one quickly.
Yeah. We actually run out of time. But no, I think opening my own mind to this work from home.
Yeah.
I think it could be the making of us. as an
That's great.
organization. There's no one anywhere in the UK, in fact, anywhere in Europe, that we now can't hire. You know,
Okay.
as long as
Yeah.
they're happy to
So we've
travel
got
down.
internet, right?
Yeah, as long as they got Wi-Fi, of course.
Yeah. Okay.
Which
Fair.
is a challenge in itself. But
Yeah,
I think
right.
that's the best thing.
That's great.
What
I like
about
that,
you?
Lloyd. More time on my dog, more time on my guitar, more time looking at people's faces and having good conversations. I'm in love with it. I'm losing weight. I can't complain. Food
Yeah,
prep.
all
Cool.
good. Take care,
Thanks,
Chris.
Lloyd. Appreciate it, mate.
See you.
See
Bye-bye.
ya.